Everybody that I can see here?
Yeah, I think so.
This is everybody.
Yeah, so we're currently recording, so you can turn off your mic and your camera if you don't want to be on the video.
Oh, I want to
Or you
see
can
you
leave.
all. Tantra means you're being seen.
That's most people.
Mahone, hi.
Yeah. So, many years ago, when I was given transmission, Geshe John made me sit up on the Dharma throne. This one here, in this small apartment on Watt Avenue. So it was quite imposing. Can people hear me okay? There was a person in the room who said, why are you up on that Dharma throne? A little challenging, which was great, right? Do you think you're better than everybody else? And I said, no, I'm here to be seen. So that's really important in Tantra, where we're meant to be seen. We're meant to be transparent. I'd like to go through a text that we haven't done before, but is in the booklet on Manjushri. I like different translations sometimes, so I'm just going to read it through, and we'll go over it a little bit, but it still has the same mantra. Probably the most famous Manjushri is Gangi Lodroma, which is it's just the first like four syllables, because it starts Gangi Lodro, so your wisdom is brilliant, but it's technically called the glorious wisdom's excellent qualities in English. So the Sri Jana Guna Pala. So Sri means glorious, right? And we also know what jhana, like, correct? Do we all know what Jnana, jhana? Do we all know that word? Zimas, that is the Sanskrit for Yeshe. Yeah. And then who knows what guna means in Sanskrit? Anybody? Pala. So excellent qualities. Guna is the qualities. So glorious wisdom's excellent qualities, which the myth is, one myth was composed by 500 Indian Panditas or by Vajra Yudra, so sometimes called Vajra Sastra. So I like this translation from Lotsawa House. So I wanted to read it out, and we can do the practice.
Do you want me to show to him?
Yes. Can you all see it?
Yes.
Shaking his head. Can't see it. He doesn't have to. He's memorized it.
I'm sorry, Lama. It was my fault. I had you pinned.
So this is on the Lotsawa House website.
Mm-hmm. I put the link in the chat.
But they can see it right now too?
Yeah.
So we'll just do in English, okay? So we won't butcher the Tibetan. Homage to the Guru and the Protector, Venerable Manjushri. Your wisdom is brilliant and pure like the sun, free from the clouds of the two obscurations. You perceive the whole of reality exactly as it is, and so hold the book of transcendental wisdom at your heart. You look upon all beings imprisoned within samsara and shrouded by the thick darkness of ignorance and tormented by suffering. With the love of a mother for her only child, your enlightened speech, endowed with 60 melodious tones, like the thundering roar of a dragon, awakens us from the sleep of destructive emotions and frees us from the chains of karma. Dispelling the darkness of ignorance, you wield the sword of wisdom to cut through all our suffering. Pure from the very beginning, you have reached the end of the 10 bhumis and perfected all enlightened qualities. Foremost of the Buddha's heirs, your body is adorned with 112 marks of enlightenment. To Manjushri, the gentle-voiced, I prostrate and pray, dispel the darkness from my mind. I'll do 108 mantras. Om Arapatsanadi, Om Arapatsanadi. Om Arapatsanadi, Om Arapatsanadi. Om Arapatsanadi. With all of your kindness and love, let your wisdom, shining light, clear the darkness of my ignorance once and for all. Grant me, I pray, the intelligence, the brilliance to understand the scriptures, the words of the Buddha, and the works of the masters. And whenever I wish to look upon you or ask of you anything at all, Lord and Protector Manjushri, let me see you without any hindrance. So the description, the commentary at the end, anyone who recites this aloud once, 7 times, 21 times, 100 times, or 1,000 or more times a day with completely pure motivation will gradually purify the obscurations and will gain immeasurable qualities such as remembering one's studies with confidence and unfailing retention and the power and strength of wisdom through which one can defeat opponents in debate. Also, anyone who offers praise in this way 3 times a day will gain the qualities just mentioned and will develop wisdom and compassion, gradually progressing along the paths and stages, gaining ever greater qualities before swiftly reaching the citadel of omniscience and becoming a great guide to liberate all beings from samsara. Yeah, very good. We have the AC on, or just the air is blowing?
They're both on.
Oh, good, yeah. So, there's on this site, there's a very nice commentary by Jamyang Khyentse Wangpo on that people can take a look at also. Very nice commentary. So you have to go to Lord Sour House and then click on that. It's very short, actually, short commentary. So traditionally, you wouldn't read anything without the Lama's instructions or permission blessing, and then you wouldn't ever read anything without a commentary. So if we try to do text or something without the instructions or the permissions, then of course the effect wears away quick, or we don't learn anything. So good. Can you all still hear me? Do this? Okay. This version is a little bit longer because I can't remember who added it on, but it's been expanded. There's a shorter version. This is a little bit of the longer version. So the shorter version, I think we have in the text that we printed up, so that we distributed and used, starting last year, right after Khyentse Rinpoche's involvement, right? But sometimes I actually like the longer text too, like that. Yeah. Another reason, another important piece in study is having enough faith and enough knowledge and enough acquaintance with our basic goodness, as Trungpa Rinpoche called it, or our Buddha nature, Tathagata Garbha. It's easy when studying to think you're not smart enough. And then when you think you're not smart enough, you also start thinking you're not good enough. Or maybe some people think they're really smart enough, but they're not good enough. Or maybe people think I'm good enough and that's all I need, I'm not smart enough. But actually, we need both. So I'd like to read, this is from, I don't know, can you see this one? This. So this is, I don't know what happened with this book. It's been like, can you see, it's been wet, So it's been through a lot, like me. This is, okay. So this has a commentary by Jamgon Khyentse, and then 19th century Rimé teacher, and then also has commentary by Khenpo Soltran Gyatso. So he was a teacher that came to the West, and I might have mentioned him in the past. He particularly liked singing songs and would have people sing Milarepa songs to kind of children's songs. Did I mention that before? Yeah. So I've been threatening to do that, and I think we will at some point. So I'm just giving you plenty of warning. But his commentary is very useful. I'd just like to read a few from the root text, the fourth Vajra point, called the element. The perfect Buddhakaya is all-embracing. Suchness cannot be differentiated all beings have the disposition, thus they always have Buddha nature. So in order to study correctly, we have to have this kind of view going in. And this text is nothing but saying wonderful positive things over and over again until it comes out your ears, right? Just as the jewel, the sky and water are pure, it is by nature always free from the poisons. From devotion to the Dharma, from highest wisdom, and from samadhi and compassion, its realization arises. And then again, the nature of mind as the element of space does not depend upon causes or conditions, nor does it depend on a gathering of these. It has neither arising, cessation, or abiding. This clear and luminous nature of mind is as changeless as space. It is not afflicted by desire and so on, the adventitious stains which are sprung from incorrect thoughts. It is not brought into existence by the water of karma, of the poisons and so on. Hence it is not consumed by the cruel fires of dying, falling sick, and aging. So, this is important because sometimes people tell me that I'm not smart enough to do this. So that's got to be false, right? Because you have it. They just said, you know, Maitreya Buddha through the Sangha said, you know, you've all got it, right? Since the nature is unchanging, full of virtue and utterly pure, suchness is said to correspond to the shape and color of gold. Well, this is a very familiar metaphor. So even though gold is covered perhaps by all the ore, it hasn't changed at all. It's still there. It does take some work. How many people here have gone to view the Empire Mine in Grass Valley? Yeah, so they give you the tour, they show you where the stamping machines were, and they actually, you know, this hard quartz gold, you know, it must have been excruciating. So stamping it out, and then they'd use chemicals, you know, not good ones, to then get the rest of the gold out. This truth of the self-sprung ones is to be realized through faith. The orb of the sun blazes with light, but is not seen by the blind. Nothing whatsoever is to be removed. Not the slightest thing is to be added. Truly looking at truth, truth is seen. When seen, this is complete liberation. Okay, so when doing studies, since we're doing studies, you can't say I'm not smart enough. I'm just being really traditional here. So you can go to your teacher and say, I'm lazy. But you're not allowed to say, I'm not smart enough. So if you have obscurations, of course, which we all do, you can do the Manjushri practice, right? But you can't say, I don't have the capacity. So if people choose not to do the studies, we would say, well, you don't have the karma, but we wouldn't say you're not smart enough, because we know you have it. The other most important point is when we're doing studies, definitely like tenets, which are actually not as bad as reading Dhammakirti, It gets worse. Okay, so then, we know that we have to study from the standpoint of our Buddha nature. We're not studying with our misperceived self. You cannot read this material with, what we think is our normal everyday consciousness. If you're reading it like you're reading college textbooks, or you're reading just from what I would call just ordinary standpoint, then of course it's difficult. So before we're doing this textual study, we have to do some yogic practice and access, our Yeshe, access Rigpa. We cannot just study from an ordinary point of view. So those two things, you can't say you don't have the Buddha nature, you can't say you don't have the capacity, and also you have to study and read from this fruition standpoint. You cannot just say, I'm just me. You can't say me. So we need to have a little discussion now, like that. I'm okay to be challenged, like you can say, but. So Andrea, what do you think?
Hi, Lama. Well, the first question that comes to mind is, if we are studying these texts, and granted, I'm still way back there in the reading list because I've been in school. I would like further ahead. So I just finished my Chandrakirti.
Yeah, we got that. Thank you.
Getting ready to start the. Thank you. So if we're studying to have the right view. Oh, can you hear me okay?
I can't hear you so well because it's really noisy in here, but so.
Oh, okay. I'll try to speak up a little bit. Okay. So the first question that comes to mind is, if we are reading these texts to have the right view,
there you go. Thank you.
Is, then how can we trust that when we engage in yogic practices, like maybe the 6 minutes of shamatha that you asked us to do before we study, that we can trust we're in that space? I mean, how do we know we're in that space of really studying from that? I guess what you're describing is a place of openness.
That's a good start, yes. So we're, we may have to do a little reading from Uttara Tantra Shastra like that. So a reminder, but we are starting from that open place. And we're also starting from a very practical place. So the sky is a good place to start, right? So when you're looking at the sky, there's no limit, right?
Right.
There's no, and when, even if we were up really high, like a balloon or something, there also would be no kind of reference point. The sky doesn't have any, like, this is where it starts and stops, right?
Right. Yeah.
However, from the Earth point of view, or even mountain, looking at mountain, the sky is going to be what color?
Blue.
Yeah. So we know, like, okay, so we have, just like it blue. So that's important to start there. And also start like sky is like space, unlimited.
Mm-hmm.
So then you have, we could say both absolute and relative pinned down, right?
I suppose so, depending on that perspective. If you're standing on the mountain, you have a certain reference point there.
Or, well, we're just standing on the mountain so we can see the sky. So when we when we look through the sky, there's no limit.
Right.
There's no limit. But we also see that the sky's blue.
I see what you're saying.
Yeah.
I think.
Let's go.
Okay. Uh-huh. So, okay. So just tap into that sense of knowing what that experience is like to have no limit, and then approach the text keeping that experience in mind, or that perspective in mind. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, absolute perspective, of course, also contains all these Buddha qualities, luminosity and like that. So luminosity means it's just so brilliantly clear.
Yeah.
Things are just so vivid. It's hard to see it in the valley, just on a sense. And I mean, it's metaphor about nature, mind, but also sensual, right? So in Tantra, we use sensual things to also illustrate absolute states, right? So it's just so freaking clear.
Mm-hmm.
Usually in the valley, there's so much stuff and it looks slightly foggy or smoggy, right? But things look so crystal clear, they are just, popping, right?
Okay.
So things are just so like brilliantly clear. So it's not just that you're seeing that it's unlimited and doesn't have any fixed point, which is another important thing. But it also is just so things are just so crystal clear, like that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And the sky is blue.
Okay.
Yeah.
It sounds like an immersion experience.
Well, who's being immersed in what?
Right. A sense of overwhelming the senses to the point where there isn't a reference point. It just is.
Yeah, but actually you don't have to do any kind of immersion experience. It's just one glance like that. So that's how you can prepare for study. Don't worry about am I really one with the sky or not? You just see sky.
Huh?
You just see blue like that.
Okay. Okay. Is that why you've asked us when we're reading to just read it and not?
Yeah, just
try
read.
to it?
Yeah, just see you don't need to make extra on top of it. We don't need to merge because we already are that. You don't need to do an extra like that.
Okay.
Yeah. Teachers, of course, will teach according to someone's capacity. So sometimes we have to practice merging and practice interchanging, right? We have to weave it together like that.
Mm-hmm.
Right now, I'm just saying, just very simple, kind of flashing on it.
Okay.
Yeah. Just like you walk in, you just see where the door is, right? If the door is open or that's the hallway, you just walk through it. You don't need to merge with the open doorway, right?
Right.
Yeah, see, it's just like that.
Okay. Thanks, Lama. Thank you for that example.
Yeah, but lower yanas, of course, will just say, first you have to merge with the door before you can pass through it, right? You don't have to become one with the doorway, right? It's already open.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know about the lower yanas, but
Yeah.
I can practice with that practical experience of just walking through the doorway, like literally, like the next time I do that.
Yeah, just walk.
Pay attention.
Yeah, there's no obstruction, right? You don't have to first merge with non-obstruction. You just walk through.
Right. Sure.
Yeah,
Sure.
I know.
Good.
Interesting.
Thank you,
So,
Lama.
you're welcome. So it's good to see you. So as sophisticated students, even when we're studying, conventional truths, right? Even when we're doing that, we're still holding a high perspective, right? That's important for tantrikas. We're still holding a high perspective if we can do that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So you don't have to merge with the space. We already are space, so no need, right? Okay. So
I'll take your word for it.
okay, good. So what other questions? Zima, you had a question. Elizabeth, no. Wake up. Are you there? She's frozen. She's moving too slow. We need.
No, I don't have any internet. So,
You don't have internet?
no, suddenly it just dropped off.
Okay.
I do have a question though.
Maybe we can capture it.
My question is, you can't see it. The question is this, and I read today in the book about
We can't make her.
whatever it's about, the special tenets,
Yeah.
disintegration and you can't understand me?
Yeah.
You can't hear me?
Yeah. Here's what. So you text me tomorrow, okay? Send me. Yeah.
Okay, I will.
Yeah.
Okay.
Like that. So let's see. Shall I call on one more person or shall I be nice? Be scary. Okay, who's this off to the side here? Yeah.
That's Sorella.
Zarella, so is this making sense? Your face isn't moving though, so I don't know.
I was hoping you wouldn't call on me. It is making sense. Thank you for that. I just thought something that that you said that really impacted me was that you said like you can't say you don't have it, and you have to think that you're good enough and that you're smart enough, and that was really deep, I thought, because sometimes or I don't know if this is a general statement or if it's just me, but sometimes I have trouble accepting that I'm smart enough. You know, I think the way I was raised, it was just like, oh, don't say you're smart, like that's not polite. So like that kind of like got ingrained in me, and then now you're saying that I have to think that I'm smart. I'm like, okay, this makes sense. Like I think I can work with that.
Yes. So what we're after is a realistic smartness called confidence.
Right.
Realistic smartness.
I'm gonna write that down.
But you know, it is like gold ore. You know, it's perfectly present and perfectly pure, but still there's you know, some alchemical processes that we have to apply, right?
Right.
Now, some people's practice is kind of like, you know, the gold quartz rings. When I lived up in Nevada City, a friend of mine was a goldsmith, and you could buy rings that, you know, had gold, you know, it was the quartz, but it had gold slivers in it. They were kind of popular. So, you know, that's one style where people still, they have some realizations, they have some, you know, some insights, but it's still mostly, you know, granite or quartz, right?
Hmm.
So, of course, the gold Buddhahood is like just pure gold. But even the gold in the quartz rings is still real gold, right?
Right.
Yeah, like that. So we can't say we're not smart enough or we don't have it.
Hmm. Got it.
So sometimes it's good to have like, you know, like, you know, things to remind us of that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
So,
I think that it's really good to embrace it too.
yeah, we have to say, you know, a little bit like Stuart Smalley, you know. I enough, but you know, it's a little joke on Codependent Anonymous. You know, I am enough. I have enough. I do enough, and gosh darn it, people like me. So we have to, right? So that also is a really important quality of correct study, is actually a sense of humor. So a lot of times in debates, there's also laughter. It isn't that serious all the time. And also there's lots of laughter in classrooms because everybody's encouraged to say something, right? You're encouraged to say something even if it's completely idiotic.
Right. I think it makes it, sorry.
Yeah, go ahead.
I think it makes it better, like the atmosphere, to like be able to say something. And if there's laughter, if that's like super serious, then, you know, it's more like a lecture. Like and you're afraid to say something because what if it's really stupid, right? But I think that there are no stupid questions in a way, you know, like once you ask a question, even if it's really stupid, then you're not, you gain something, you gain some knowledge. So I just think that laughter is a good thing in while learning.
Generally in study groups, people are also making statements. Okay, so we're not just asking like, what is emptiness? We're just saying, this is emptiness. And even if we say something idiotic, we have to say something.
Mm.
So see, there's two things. There's questions and statements. So of course, a lot of people ask safe questions.
Right.
They can hide behind the question. They can go, I'm just asking what's emptiness, or what is mind, or, you know, what's a valid perceiver, right, or something. But, you know, to make a statement, okay, to just say, I think this is it, you know, then you're opening yourself up, and then it can be really funny or really right on. So as students, we have to be willing to ask questions, but also make statements. Like, I think the sky is red. And then that's interesting. Well, maybe it is, because maybe you you got up at sunset or sunrise and you go, the sky is red, right?
Mm. Right, it's just a different perspective.
Yeah. So another person said, no, the sky is blue. Debating about color is one of the first debate topics, right?
Or black, it could be black, right?
It could be black, night, you know, you could be really clever, yeah.
Or up, you know, above the stratosphere.
Yeah. So, but you have to say something. So, you know, we have to, like, I really appreciate the people that are turning in the papers. You're not allowed to turn in a blank sheet. Here's the nature of mind. No, but you have to say something, right? So those two things. So we know we have the Buddha nature, and we know we're smart enough to do it. So we have to do it. And then we have to put ourselves in that place to start the study. And then we have to ask questions and make statements. Now, we should be doing this to ourselves also.
What do you mean?
Well, asking ourselves questions and giving ourselves answers.
Mm.
Making statements and then making counter statements. Right now, I can, you know, I can say most people, just call them ordinary normals, you know, we're always having a debate in our head, right? There's always some inner conflict, some always inner debate. Here we'll learn how to actually have intelligent conversations with ourselves. So it isn't just we have to wait until, you know, we have some debate partner on the outside. Particularly now it's tougher, but I guarantee we have arguments on the inside. We don't have real debates. So we want to have internal debates, not arguments. So, you know, as we're going through tenets, be thinking like, just say out loud, you know, blah, blah, and then say something competing like that, and then notice. So you can't just read it and kind of say, well, I'm reading really fast to get to the right answer, right? It's learning how to do this inner debate instead of inner arguing. So let me stop there and see if I'm making any sense.
This is why I had a cat in law school.
The cat would debate with you. Yeah. Wrong, be wrong, wrong. Well, this should be difficult. Yes.
Yeah, I can't.
Yeah, give it a try.
I can't help but, I guess, think that this isn't only learning the material, but learning how to encounter work, how to encounter learning, and how to deal with those things, like in a practice way, like how to encounter life in general, as opposed to just intellectual materials.
Yes, definitely. It's training for real life. We're learning how to ask questions. We're learning how to make assertions and learning how to listen to other people's questions and other people's assertions and arrive together, hopefully, at truth. So it isn't just about arguing someone until they give up. That's the normal kind of argument, right? You know, just until you're defeated, you know. So we say opponent, but the idea is the opponent is what? Is ignorance. The opponent isn't the person you're debating with. The opponent is, you know, your own silly.
Right.
So we learn to debate with ourselves, right? You might have to do like a Gestalt exercise. You might have to like have two cushions and then get up and say one thing and then move to the other cushion and say it back to yourself. Can you do that? Give that a try.
Yeah.
Yeah, so, you know, like you may have to say all composite things are impermanent. And then I'm jumping ahead a little bit, but then you might have to switch the chair and say, I know some composite things that are permanent. People are telling me all the time about composite things that they believe are permanent, right? So we have to see like which one can we defend? Which one do you think is easier to defend? All composite things are impermanent or all composite things are permanent?
All composite things are impermanent.
Yeah, but then you have to back it up, right? How would you back it up?
I think I would start with like defining what composite things are and then looking at the pieces as impermanent and how if they come together, those are impermanent also. And I think I would probably, well, maybe I'd want to negate the permanence of composite things.
Okay, but then how would you defend permanence. Is there anything that's permanent? We've been reading tenets, correct? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Is there, what's permanent? According to what school? Anything? Is there anything permanent?
The answer right now would be a stab.
Yeah, you gotta make an answer. Go ahead and stab.
Ultimate reality is permanent, and impermanence is actually relative.
Okay. And what is ultimate reality? Give that a stab. Sure. Okay, yeah, go for it.
I mean, I think the only thing I understand about ultimate reality is mind. Schmack.
That's it? You would just say ultimate reality is mind?
So far, like true nature mind, that clear state, or, beyond what I put my attention on.
What is the ultimate reality of mind? Is the ultimate reality? What's the ultimate reality of mind?
Clear and luminous, and that it becomes whatever it focuses on.
That's a quality. When you say ultimate reality, that's a good guess. When you say ultimate reality, we're always talking about what's the essence. How are things essentially? That's okay. You're going good. You just argue both sides. Buy two cushions. So what I want intended is like you would know like who's saying what. So when we say this is permanent, this is impermanent, this is momentary, this is non-momentary, then we would be able to say a little bit how would be that school.
Right.
Yeah. Makes it easier. Makes it easier to classify it according to schools because then you can group the argument, right? So when people are talking to me in therapy, they use like, well, my collective unconscious or something like that. So where'd that dream come from? I say my collective unconscious. So I'll say, oh, okay, you're using a Jungian framework, right? That's a term, right? So if someone says archetype, then I'm saying, oh, you're talking Jungian way. How are we doing?
Matthew, you need to unmute yourself. And Greg, please don't do that. They're having a conversation.
So
I can't hear them both, Connor. I'm hearing Lama speak
That's
through
because
two
you speak
speakers,
that.
so one person needs to be speaking at a time. And they need to mute yourself then if you're not talking.
So
Yeah, I don't mind handling the mute button.
even virtually, we have, so like that. Okay, one more comment before I go on a little bit more. Is that you, Jack? Are you there?
I am, yeah. Hi.
Are you in your yurt?
Just with a
Are
delay.
you in the yurt?
No, there's no Wi-Fi in the yurt.
So where are you?
I'm in the house.
Oh,
Yeah,
good.
the little cabin.
Yeah, like that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so I was thinking, I think what these texts are revealing about the way that I think is that I just want everyone to be right. I think that each one is right, and I can argue their position, and then it's just where do I fall, and I know that that's like kind of my challenge is like not having doubt about like what I think is true. So I found that really interesting.
Thank you. Yes, I want everybody to be able to think and defend each position. So we're not after like, of course, there is a movement toward, and particularly in the tenets we're studying towards, okay, prasangika, madhyamika, but we're generally going towards like being, as a learning, we're learning to defend and appreciate each position like that. Because we notice in daily life, some people will be taking an idealist position or a yogacara position or a savastivadin position, right? A Sautrantika position or a Sankhya position. You know, we'll go, oh, wow, they're taking that position and therefore their thinking and their worldview is going that direction. And then you can help people better because you see, okay, they're going that path. We're able to frame our helping a lot better. What do you think, Morris?
That makes a lot of sense.
I'm still struggling with tenets a lot, frankly.
Sure.
Although, what I think is really interesting, an idea that struck me today was that tenets would be very, very helpful for students like myself. When I'm reading any text, I should be conscious of what the framing is and how that framing relates to, you know, my school or the tradition in which I'm being taught. And that would be very, very helpful. We're sort of floating around like little particles in space. We need to sort of locate, we need accuracy. When people make these statements, we need to know it's coming from this location and this direction. So it's a restatement of what you just said a moment ago in terms of when we're having a conversation with another person, we know what direction they're coming from. You know, when people, in ordinary conversation, people express beliefs in Christianity or Judaism or Islam, for instance. And even though that's not my personal vocabulary, I'm conversant enough to understand what they're saying, or I believe I do. I believe I am.
Yeah, like that. So we become,
But, you know,
yeah, we become.
When I read sutras, I have to read them in a certain frame. And when I read, you know, Tsongkhapa or Chankakirti, I have to read it in a certain frame. This is very, you know, even though I'm lazy, this is very, very, this is very valuable.
Yeah.
If I bring in a question, it's like, you know, what's the framing?
So yeah, I'm not quite sure what you mean by frame, but maybe it's what I'm meaning, like start out with this.
I mean,
you know, just
structure.
Pardon me?
A structure, a thought structure.
Yeah, I don't want people to start out immediately with thought structure. You know, start out immediately with the sky is very spacious, unlimited, and the sky is blue. So start out with a very, very simple thought structure like that, and then do the reading. So we're a little bit starting from a kind of
You want us to take a more experiential approach.
It is experiential, but it's also mind at the same time.
Okay.
Yeah.
Of course.
So, of course, in our tradition, you know, everything that we can be aware of has to have, by definition, awareness.
Yeah, I was lucky enough to be reading a few pages out of the Dalai Lama's book on Dzogchen last night. After you mentioned that there were 3 elements in Dzogchen that I should remember, and so I better find the book and find out what they are. And it was really sort of a magnificent experience, an experience of expansion. You know.
Yeah. So. Yeah, that's fine. Like just unlimited.
Yeah.
Unlimited.
You know, very like all of a sudden there was this image of like just
endless
expansion.
Yeah, But when we're starting out, like reading tenets, we start out from a very interesting place. I'm suggesting that we can't say it's mind or experience. It's just we see the unlimited. We can look forever, and we see it's blue.
So we should approach I'm going to try to make a leap here and fall on a heap. But we're trying to approach our view of the tenets as being from a point of view of the most spacious or near to enlightenment point of view that we can. To see them as spacious, enlightened structures.
No.
No. Yes.
So if we're coming upon people that are having a discussion in another language we don't understand, we haven't taken any sides yet, right?
Right.
It's like that.
Okay, gotcha.
So they're going to have sides, but we're approaching it like
we're just learning words.
Yeah, we don't know what you guys are arguing about or debating about. We're not taking any sides.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so you're the playground monitor, and the kids are going at it, and you don't know. You're not taking any sides, right?
Right.
Yeah. So
the less philosophical.
We know there's a little argument going on, right?
Yes.
So not taking any sides is really kind of absolute point of view, right? There's no sides, but we do know there's an argument going on, right? And actually, we do know that arguments in the playground can turn nasty, right?
Well, also that people
or arguments. Didn't you guys ever have arguments in the sandbox? You'd be playing nicely, and then you'd be kicking sand a little bit, and you're doing parallel play at first, right? You were quietly you were playing with your dump truck, and she was playing with her speedier car or something, and then your dump truck hit her car in the sandbox.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So duality comes together and hits it. So we as the parent, the Buddha, we're going to see very spacious, right? But we're going to know that's an argument, and we're going to know that we have to resolve. We can play in the sandbox nicely, but we can't be kicking sand.
Well, is it a wrong analogy? It may be. But...
Okay, we got to ask. Someone else has to ask questions.
Go ahead.
Well, that's good. So who hasn't spoken up yet and said hi? Roberta hasn't said hi. Hi, Roberta. Turn on your thing.
Hi, how are you?
I'm better.
Better than what?
I'm better than yesterday, actually. Better sinuses.
Oh yeah, it's the allergy season. It's here.
Yeah.
Well, I was just thinking the only thing that I can think of that's permanent is cessation of all the cliches. Once you get there, that's permanent, isn't it?
Yes, traditionally cessation is seen as permanent. That is something that is debated a lot. Yeah. So when there's true cessation, that's permanent. Yeah, that's right. So, but we also have to be able to, take the opposite point of view. Of course, we have to study, like, why would we call it cessation if it wasn't permanent? But this was a big debate in Buddhism at the time. Like, for example, some schools, generally ones that we would call Hinayana, would say, well, sometimes an arhat could fall back.
Yeah.
Or if we can call that person an arhat, why call them an arhat if they can fall back?
Mm-hmm.
So this is a really big deal, right? Actually impractical. So lots of times we have experiences and insights and then we fall back.
Mm-hmm.
Or we thought they were realizations, but they were just experiences.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, but it's also disconcerting when we put our trust in teachers or friends or lovers or partners or our pets, and they fall back, and we think we were thinking something was permanent, and it wasn't.
Yeah, I could relate a lot to what Jack was saying about, I don't know if I understood correctly, but it translated for me like this, that, say you do this debate back and forth, and then you have this viewpoint. It feels like we're learning and we get this viewpoint, and then, maybe we're still debating back and forth or whatever, but really that viewpoint becomes solid when it, to some degree, it shouldn't become solid, if that makes any sense.
Yes, it does. So there's a famous phrase in recovery, you can either be happy or you can be right.
I want to be happy. It's funny you say that, because years ago when I was in the bar, that was a game we used to play at the bar. We'd say to people, okay, would you rather be happy or would you rather be right? A lot of people wanted to be right.
Yeah, and then, one marriage therapist, took that like, you can either be married or you can be right. So like that. Yeah, so looking at how, taking something like cessations and understanding if we believe in a certain tenet, then what does that have to say about cessations, right?
Mm-hmm.
What's really interesting, I'm skipping ahead a little bit, but maybe some people have already, like Elizabeth said, okay, I want to read unique tenets, right? So Tsongkhapa, for example, very forcefully says there's the alaya, the ground consciousness, is a fiction. So we'd want to know like, well, that's interesting. So, in Maitreya's treatises, we talk about the ground consciousness. So why do you say that's fiction? That's just, maybe is that, and if it's a fiction, is that a useful fiction or a really delusional fiction? Useful fictions are like, the sky is blue. So it means a lot to people sometimes to, in a practical level, to know, like, do we have a storehouse consciousness? Do we have a ground consciousness?
Mm-hmm.
If we don't, then how is karma matured, right?
Right.
That's what happens in the next life, but how is karma matured? And if we read Tsongkhapa carefully, read some teachers carefully, they have a hard time getting out of that one. Very difficult time, there's just kind of like, well, it just fades and the next thing comes up, So we have to ask ourselves, okay, we can see the point of saying that maybe the Yogacharans are making the alaya into almost an atman, a self, glorifying it too much. But is the traditional Gelug, traditional Tsongkhapa's explanation satisfying, right? So we have to look at both sides. It won't do any good to just negate saying, well, I read this and it says there's alaya consciousness, so that I'm good, or I read this and it said there's not, so I'm good. That we have to be able to really examine what are the discussions and arguments that go into that.
That can make you crazy, Lama.
We do want to be like the people that were described by Counselor Rinpoche, like Tantra, either you're really smart or you're crazy. So it actually helps to combine those, you know. So of course, Trungpa Rinpoche came up with this term, crazy wisdom, right? You know, like that. So, like, there's, I don't think that actually, in defense of Rinpoche, Trungpa Rinpoche, I don't think he was really using that as an excuse for bad behavior. Some people accused him that. Since he never really apologized for behavior, I can believe he didn't make up a term to cover bad behavior. We're really talking about wisdom that doesn't have the normal reference points.
Okay, I think.
Okay. Yeah, we have to say, okay, I think. I'll go. Greg, what comment do you have?
That everybody should be on mute if they're not talking, so that we can all hear at the same time.
Well, they're talking are they talking to each other?
No, it's just feedback. It's if we
it's
hear
feedback. Okay.
somebody's talking to you, but then you're talking back, and I'm hearing it through their speakers and their microphones, so it's hard. I
would be doing this.
I think the main message that I'm going to walk away from tonight is that nobody is too dim-witted or lacks capacity to learn the Dharma and embrace it and become liberated and enlightened in this very lifetime, right? With studying our Vajrayana traditions and our practices and lots of effort, right? Bodhicitta is all about effort and really wanting to manifest the ability to have capacity to understand and to embrace it. So really appreciate the Monday evening talks. They're always very special and intimate, and I know that it's a lot of effort and energy for you, so it's always taken to heart and notes to ponder on for the rest of the week and until I get to see you in person. So
yeah, thank you.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
Yes, we should all be exactly when we do the prayers of may I achieve Buddhahood. We absolutely have to take that very seriously. That's meant to be taken quite seriously. We don't want to say not in this lifetime, because then you're cutting it off, right? We can say I'm going to practice as diligently as I can. And may it happen with the blessings of lineage, and may be so, but you don't want to say not, because then it would be like someone passing a plate of gold, and you say no, I pass. You know, you don't want to say I pass, right? So we make that vow, and then we go for it. We know that eventually we'll get there. So the confidence of the path is that if you're on I-80 and you keep going, you might break down, but you'll get to San Francisco. You might have a traffic jam. There might be an earthquake or a daybreak. We'll get there. So when studying this material, it's important to visualize success. It's not important that you be one of the Dalai Lama's debating partners, right? Senzab, Senzab is like debating partner. You don't have to do that. So these are skillful means to do that, but we are taking that goal, quite seriously. Is that okay?
Yeah, no, I think, our realizations, none of us can say, at whatever age that we thought that we would be where we are in our lives, right? Things happen unexpectedly, twists and turns, good, bad, all of it happens. And that's kind of the same with the Dharma teachings and your understanding of the Dharma. It's one day you could wake up with a completely different understanding than you had the day before. And that's the beauty of the path and the journey, I think. So thank you for letting me be a part of yours and you being a part of mine.
There is kind of a nice small book of Trungpa Rinpoche's called The Mistake Lineage. So, you know, of course, we all make a lot of conventional mistakes, but the idea is that when we're looking for the wish-fulfilling gem, it isn't a linear process. We kind of stumble on it. Lama, the guru, helps create a situation where mistakes can happen, and we catch ourselves in the midst of being ourselves, right? So that's why we need to participate, because without that, our sense of, we won't trip over it. I'm trying to put up little traps so that you'll trip over like that. What do you think, Brad? Brad's turning on his thing. Hi.
Yeah, you know, I just have a statement or an opinion, and it's maybe just a feeling, but it kind of trips me out that there's such a diversity of opinions. And it seems like in other religions, it's like there's kind of like this dogma. You learn the dogma, you believe it, and then it's kind of simple. But with this, it's really challenging, because it's like, here's one religion with so many different opinions. And it, in my mind, wants to grab one thing and just hold on to it and say, here's what's going on.
Yeah, so we want to be like karate, empty-handed, right?
Yeah, it just seems like, and I guess that's maybe the beauty of it, is that there's so much diversity, and there could be another school and another way of practicing, and to realize that this is fine to believe this, and then even not only that, but to have to maybe even debate your position and say, hey, this is why I believe this, and maybe it makes it richer and deeper.
Yes, yes. So when we're taking a position, even when we disagree, we think might be wrong, or someone says wrong, learning it, we kind of take it on passionately. God.
So just be open to other possibilities.
Yeah, definitely other possibilities. Yes.
And that's really different for me too. It's like I want to have the feeling of rightness, and that's a really different kind of mindset to just be accepting and open.
Yeah. Yeah. Good. That's perfect.
Thanks.
Yeah. So, one last person to say hi. Who's going to say hi? Jules, are you there? She can hear me? I don't think so.
Hi, Lama.
Hi.
Hi, can you see me? How are you?
Good.
For the millionth time today, how are you?
Good.
Good.
So you need to make a comment.
Okay, on what?
You just, on what we talked about, you must make a comment. See, that's it. You make a question or you make a comment. You have to make a comment.
Okay, so I struggle sometimes with kind of breaking down my own personal, kind of what we grew up with, like my own kind of concepts on the world, and trying to actually understand how tenets work from a practitioner's point of view. So I want to know how I can approach it so it becomes a little bit easier to study.
On a very practical level, we're saying tenets all the time to ourselves, internally and externally. We're saying that all the time. We're making assertions, right? That we usually fervently believe in, such as, there are also very negative ones. We also have a lot of negative assertions very, very deeply, like, I'm not that smart, I'm, not a good person, I'm a loser, we have grandiose things too, like, I should be recognized enlightened even though I don't do any practice, or just funny things too, right? We're making assertions all the time to ourselves, let alone others, right? So one, we're not aware that we're making assertions, and two, we haven't examined them at all, and three, we don't have any evidence to back them up. So in daily life, one way to practice tenets is just to notice, like, when we're going around making assertions, which are usually quite metaphysical in nature. Like when we get mad at our partners, we might just say, like, "You've never loved me." We make assertions, right? Or we also have to be careful. We have to say, "I'll always love you." Right? We've all said that, right?
True.
Yeah, we've all said that. And then what happens, right? Okay, so this is really daily life. So of course we're taking these things that are very deep but real as a way to also notice, like, in daily life, how we're making actually metaphysical profound statements, even if we're just saying, like, "My cat loves me more than you love me." Like that.
Okay. Yeah, that makes sense.
Okay, so would you like to make an assertion right now?
An assertion on what?
You just say anything. So that's the important thing. It's just like say anything. Get used to that. You would just say, like,
Okay. The only thing that's permanent is impermanence. That's my assertion of the day.
okay, good. That's good. Yeah,
Okay, thank you, Lama. Thank you so much.
We can't take that up right now, but yeah, that is a good debate topic right there. Yeah.
Thank you.
And Donna, hi. Hi, Donna. You can just say hi. You can say, "It's good to see you all."
It's very good to see everybody. I've missed you all.
Yeah. So that's asserting a lot right there, right?
Right.
Yeah. So that's fine. And finally, like who's right in the center? Greg Welblicki, are you there? Is that you?
Me, I don't even see me on this thing.
I'm here.
You look good. Okay, make an assertion.
Me?
Yes, you.
Oh, geez.
You just made assertion. I'm here.
I already said hi, so that's supposed to get me off the hook.
No, hi was kind of an expression, but not an assertion. You just made an assertion. I'm here. So.
Well, I kind of like the emptiness of nothingness assertion. So that nothingness is actually empty of nothingness, or emptiness. Nothingness is empty. I like that.
That's when, if I was a Zen teacher, then I would.
You'd like slap me or something, or hit me?
Yeah, you'd have to be hit. I'm sorry.
Oh, okay. Well, thank God for COVID. I got rescued by the COVID.
But my Zen teacher, like when I was living in the monastery, there was a very famous teacher that I was having lunch with. I was the director, and Roshi looked to the other teacher, and then he said, "This student, he's not even worth hitting."
So that's the category. So that's your assertion about me, huh?
No, I'm just kidding. Okay, we come to the end here. So, I don't know. Maybe Karen has left the meeting. I'm not sure, but because we've gone a long time, and maybe we have to go to the bathroom now. But do that with assertion. Okay, that's very much Vajrayana style. If you're going to do something, do it with some panache, right? Do it, just kind of put it out there. So in training monastery shedras or whatever we're doing, it's like, at least say something, just say something completely idiotic, but just put it out there, right? Promise? Okay. So let's just sing 3 7-line prayers together to close, all right? Again, yogi no jansam, pemage sa dampola, yatsen chogi no trune, pema june shesudra, kordu kandra mandu ko, Keiki Jesu da Ruki Jianchi Lokshu Seksu Sa Guru Pama Siddhi Om Yogi No Jansam Pema Gesa Dangpola Yatsen Chogi no Brune Pema June Shesudra Kordu Kandra Manpuko Keiki Jesu Dakduki Jinchi Lokshu Seksu Sa Guru Pama Siddhi Ogen Yogi Num Jansam Pema Gesa Dangpola Yatsen Jogi no Prune Pema June Shesudra Kordu Kandra Manpuko Keiki Jesu Dakduki Jinchi Lokshu Seksu Sa Guru Pama Siddhi Om. Okay, everything's in 7-line prayer, so we can say goodnight. Thanks for tuning in. I like this. Bye.
Good night.
Yeah, thank you. Yay.
Good night.
Good night. Good night.
By the way, there's Vajrayana practice on the phases of the moon tonight at 9.
Good night, Lama. Thank you.